Hello, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I am Liz Patt, one of the writers for Blizzard Watch, who has decided to curse you all with my ongoing. I'm just kidding, but I am taking over hosting duties for tonight so that our beloved main hosts, Joe and Liz H, can get some breathing space. Say hello, beloved hosts.
Hello, beloved hosts.
In addition, we are blessed with one of our voices from the Frozen North, whose devotion to Heroes of the Storm, I think, rivals most other folks. Cory, say hi.
Hi there. I keep sneaking in. They keep letting me stay.
It's because we love you.
It's because if you're here and you rant about Heroes of the Storm, it means I'm not alone, so I don't look as crazy. This is all calculated.
Of course. It's all so clear now.
Just picture Joe in front of his Charlie Day Mad Theory.
Pepe de Silva! Yeah, sorry.
But instead of cultural references of the TV variety, instead we're here to talk about video games. And the first one we're going to start with is World of Warcraft, because Midnight Season 1 started March 17th. And friends, the raid release schedule is a little off the wall, a little bonkers.
I hate it.
We've not seen before, but no. Tell us why you hate it, Joe.
I am a firm believer in I don't like staggered rollouts for raid content when it comes to normals or in this case, what raids are available, because there are going to be 3 raids this tier, 3 individual locations that you must go to. And I don't like
How did this happen?
Yeah. I am not a fan of it. So right now we get the normal, heroic, and raid finder version of the Voidspire raid. I think it's just the normal version, right? Mythic is is it? Is it all 3?
Normal, heroic, and the first wing of LFR are this week.
Yeah. And then we get the next one on the 24th, so the week after today of the time of this recording, which will be Mythic Dream Rift, Mythic Voidspire, and then sorry, go ahead, Liz.
And story mode is next week as well, I think.
Yep. And then we have to wait until March 31st
mode.
It is nice to have story mode. But we have to wait till March 31st to get the March on Quell Danas. Again, this feels weird to me. I don't know. I don't like staggered rollouts like this. Just make all normal available, make story mode available. I don't understand why that has to be gated. Maybe it has to do with the quests and quest rewards that are available, but come on.
Yeah. I do wonder if that's part of the story mode delay, because they are rolling out a weekly story quest, and maybe it's just next week we're going to hit the conclusion of that story quest, which will send you to story mode version of the raid. Yeah, but we'll see.
When you're rolling out patches as consistently as they have been, they could easily have integrated the mini raids into your off majors. So 05 and 07 progresses the story a little more, and lines you up for 12.1. And then you have much more drawn out, longer engagement than
it's true.
A spike and then a drop.
So I think my counter argument to that, though, and I understand that the player engagement is a metric that they still care about. I understand that, but there's so much content.
There's
right?
so much going on right now.
You get to, and literally we were talking about this in Guild. I logged in a little bit earlier because I'm still trying to finish leveling my druid, and we can talk about that later because I have thoughts on that as well, which are good and bad. They were talking about there is a choice paralysis happening. There is so much to do that and I'll say it our friend Lamort was talking about. I am completely overwhelmed by all of the things that I am able to do right now. And when players are feeling like that, you don't need to stagger content anymore, because the dangling effect doesn't really matter because there's no content drought essentially right now. The players have too much to do. So like if there was not enough to do, I can understand maybe stretching out that player engagement, making people, stay subscribed longer, dangle the content, but it's really not the problem right now. So that I don't know, like it feels like at least right this second with everything we were able to do in Midnight, it doesn't need to be staggered.
It's not even staggered that much. It's weird that they would stagger it at all because it's 3 weeks, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is
I mean, I do
basically nothing for a 2-boss raid.
I do wonder if they're staggering it in part for narrative reasons to line up with the quests. Quel'Danas is obviously going to be a big story beat.
Sure.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that one. But
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
maybe I am willing to give the benefit of the doubt and say maybe that needed to be spaced out a little narratively. And Blizzard, even though they space this stuff out, Blizzard has been putting stuff closer together. They haven't been spacing it out as much as they used to, because it used to be the norm for Blizzard to roll out, your normals and your heroics, and then like 2 weeks later an LFR, and then 2 weeks after that a second wing of LFR, and 2 weeks after that a third wing of LFR, and sometimes there's a fourth wing. So you would wind up LFR wouldn't release until like 6 weeks after the full raid.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really lame. Now they're spacing them out a week apart, and I do think there's some value in not rolling out so much content that players are going to kill themselves over. I just mean that players are going to feel like, oh, there's so much content, I have to do it all right now. I have to do all the wings of LFR right now, today, immediately, because content can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be better to stagger it out just so players have it's a little more bite-sized for players. But even saying that, and even with it staggered out over the course of the month, there's a lot happening right now. One of the most confusing parts of this rollout, I think, is the Mythic Plus rollout.
Yeah. Well,
Because
yes and no. We let's talk about it. You gave your stuff.
It's like we've had Mythic Zeros, but they were non-seasonal Mythic Zeros. Mm-hmm. So they're just Mythic Zero versions of the Midnight raids. But now Midnight Season 1 has started, so we have dungeons, sorry, not raids, dungeons. But now Midnight Season 1 has started, so we have Mythic Zero of the seasonal raids. So not necessarily. Oh my gosh! Thank you.
Twice in a row.
Thank you, Joe. So we have Mythic Zero of the seasonal dungeons, which are not all midnight dungeons, because Blizzard mixes and matches some dungeons in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so the season has started, but we only have Mythic Zeros this week. It's next week for Mythic Pluses, and I think that's left some confusion. I don't think Blizzard usually staggers the Mythic Plus schedule quite like this. Okay, yeah. Then it's just me who's confused. Yeah, it's only me. That's fine.
No, it can be confusing, and the biggest point of confusion, and this is something that a lot of players have really commented on as well, is when a new expansion drops and you have Mythic dungeons available, you have that expansions dungeons all available as Mythic Zeros. Then when the season starts, you have your Mythic Zeros for that season, which excludes some of the dungeons from the current expansion, and then inserts several of older ones, in this case 4 and 4 split. So for Midnight, the schedule or the available pool is Magister's Terrace, the new one, the Midnight version, Mysara Caverns, Nexus Point and Zenith, Windrunner Spire, and then those are the new ones, and then the old ones are Algathar Academy from Dragonflight, which I love that. I will run that all day long. Seat of the Triumvirate from Legion, Skyreach from Warlords of Draenor, which that's a wild pick for me, and my nemesis, Pit of Saran from Wrath of the Lich King. Now, the idea of making that pool available as Mythic Zeros before keys start being available makes perfect sense to me. Especially with old dungeons that are being revamped or retuned for the current game. Here are your new pool. Go see what the new changes are. Go see what the new paths are. Go see where the new mobs are, so that you don't like accidentally pull 8,000 leaping ghouls from the middle of the pit of Sauron into the boss encounter that wasn't sorry. And then when you go into keys, you're a little more prepared for it. So that part makes sense, at least to me. The part that I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense is taking away the rest of the dungeons as like, I don't want to say like as Mythic Zeros, because I think they're still technically there, but not advertising that they're still there, and just saying, hey, all these are still available as Mythic Zeros, but these new ones are these four and these four are going to be your keys this season. Go forth. Like, they could be a little more clear in their communication about it, but it does make it, in my opinion, it does make sense in the staggered rollout for this particular set of content.
Now, you know what doesn't make sense to me, though? That our beloved abundance has seen a nerf.
Good. Maybe less people are running, I'll have less world lag. Sorry.
I've seen so many.
Should not be less abundant, though.
For everything, there is a season.
For everything, there is a season, and unfortunately, it's no longer the season of abundance. Although I believe the hat is still a common reward. Everybody was talking about that earlier, or at least I saw Anna and Liz talking about that earlier. But the nerfs look to be, there's still no confirmation in patch notes. So this is all, I guess you could say, word of mouth, that abundance orbs are shared amongst players and despawn quicker. So it makes getting to the cap inconsistent. And for something where you're burning a key, or not really a key, but like there's a trigger to the abundance setup using the shard, you don't want to see it drop off. Although, maybe it's just a perception. It's not everybody. Has anybody run an abundance? Gosh, it's really hard to say that clearly.
No, but I'll call out Flanagan in chat, who just had a heckin' great abundance. So like players are still having very, very good abundances, I think. Unpopular opinion, and I can see people from staff probably trying to come for me. Please don't murder me. I'm glad they nerfed this. I noticed an immediate change in world lag. Especially because the orbs being shared amongst players is huge. The server load of all of those objects loading for all the individual players, when we were going to, I want to say it was Windrunner Spire to go through on a Mythic Zero, and there was a good 8 to 10 second delay between button pushes and effects appearing in game, because abundance was taking up like just a massive amount of bandwidth. And
that's insane.
And like, we know that's what it is, because there's been comments on multiple threads and stuff like that. And it just caused an issue. And Anna in chat, I'm not sure why they didn't instance abundance. They did part of it, and it uses phasing, which uses an instance stack. The problem is anything else that uses phasing in an instance stack is going to be affected by it as well, by the number of essentially, I want to say, sprites. So the more players that are participating in it, the more mobs essentially are spawned, because think of each orb as an individual mob, or half a mob, or whatever the math is. So if the four of us are doing it, every orb is 4 orbs, right? It's insane, the server load.
It's a multiplicative.
Yeah.
Although, I'm sorry, in the year of our Lorthamar 2026, that level of performance impact, like, there are ways to mitigate that. I mean, not just with nerfs, but
well, I mean,
that this is happening still, because we've seen these kinds of world events that attract large crowds of players all at once.
I'm gonna counter argue. I'm gonna counter argue in their favor. Not that I want to give them too much credit, but you don't doing this stuff in a beta environment and doing this on live servers after everything has gone live are two completely different animals, because you don't know how many players are going to engage with this at a single point in time. And that makes all the difference in the world. You can stress test it to your heart's content. You can stress test it for 15,000 concurrent players in his own on an instant stack. But then that 15,000 and first player decides on live that they're going to join in, and everything goes cattywampus. Like it's you can't always plan for it. Now, to their credit, they adjusted quickly, realized what the problem is, and made an adjustment faster than they would have in the past. So I'm while it stinks for that we had to deal with it for a little while, they reacted very quickly. So I got to give them some credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, Turner and in general, I think like bug fix Turner, because I'm thinking back to the Emerald Dream Super Bloom event and how 8 to 10 seconds of reaction at that final battle cluster where it had the 2 gates open and mob spawning was, the low end, I would argue, starting out. It absolutely crawled when everyone was running it consistently the first couple weeks. So the fact that they got a fix out this quickly is, definitely nice. I'm still sad that, no longer as abundantly abundanced. How many times can I say abundance before it stops sounding like a real word?
Many
At least
times.
one more.
Speaking of
an abundance of times.
An abundance of times. But I hope you're all feeling abundant because, it's time for the charity pet as well. Rufus, the absolutely adorable little dog in the theme of dogs right now in World of Warcraft, is available in the shop until May 12th. I know we talked about this last week, but Rufus is available. Thank you for the applause. He's so darn cute, friends. He's so cute. Don't you just want to take him home with you? Because he has a little bed to get set up at your player house, and you can have him in both classic and, although classic he doesn't get a house. Sorry, because you don't get a house in classic. But gosh, he's cute. I mean, he's holding a little hammer.
I do like that Rufus has a little house, but it has interchangeable roofs. There is a selection of 4 differently styled roofs that you can put on Rufus's house.
You got to be able to match it to your
beds.
But exactly, you've got to match it to your own house, obviously. So there are 4 styles of roof for Rufus's house.
So if you're feeling abundant in terms of material currency, then I at least take a look at him, because that little face and hard hat it's hard to resist. I know it's a bunch of pixels, but it's hard to resist.
I mean, there is another thing to add, that Rufus benefits Habitat for Humanity, and that 100% of the purchase price goes to Habitat. That has not always 100% been the case with charity pets, so it is nice to see that whatever you put into buying Rufus goes to Habitat for Humanity, which is an amazing cause. So that's the thing. You can buy Rufus and feel good about it.
Absolutely. Rufus wants to help build houses in the real world with his own little house. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the last time I'm going to talk about how cute it is. I promise I'm done. But on to looking a little bit to the future. We have some news about patch 12.0.5 already, including Void Assaults.
We're just here talking about how much content is in this game right now.
And now there's more content.
They're already talking about the next patch.
I will say it does have the mode that I was most looking forward to when they did the kind of the roadmap video in December for the anniversary, which is the decor duels. I absolutely want to be a chaise longue in Silvermoon chasing after a broom. I think that sounds exactly like all of my childhood dreams of Beauty and the Beast come to reality, but without the life-ending curse.
Hopefully. I mean, you never know.
I don't know why, but for whatever reason, my brain, you mentioned this, we're talking about the prop hunt, because that's really what it is. And you're talking about Beauty and the Beast, and I immediately thought of the pilot episode of The Critic, where he's literally
no.
where he's dating the actress temporarily, and there's the whole Beauty and the Beast scene where all the random stuff in his apartment is singing, and it's stuff like his toilet, and it's Beauty and King Dork is the song, and I don't know why, but that popped into my. Okay, I'm sorry, you are experiencing my manic episode in real time.
It's okay. When we first saw that, because I've been playing it off and on since it launched, I thought of Date Everything.
Yeah.
So I was just ascribing the different voice actors to like the props that were in the teaser, the stinger that they presented, and it definitely made it very amusing. I don't know how Erika Ishii might feel about hiding behind a plant pot as whatever inanimate object, but
She
hopefully
seems
good.
up for a good time, hiding behind stuff, playing hide and seek with your friends. I'd say she'd be down for a prop hunt.
I think she'd be into it. But there, even though we're all excited for decor duels, there are other things, including a new repeatable event called the Abyssal Anglers. Somebody tell me about this and how it's like Dave the Diver, because this sounds very interesting and a little weird.
A little weird is the best way to be, or a lot weird. You make the call there. No, it's one of the very loud complaints you heard with the release of Midnight. I'm sure all of you have heard about this. There wasn't a fishing event. How do you have a whole Warcraft expansion without a fishing event? It was unconscionable on Blizzard's part. But they are correcting this with the new Abyss Anglers event, which is it's a strange fishing event because you aren't going out there and casting for fish. You are diving deep into the ocean in Zolaman. Is that an ocean or is it? Oh, anyway,
It's an ocean.
You're diving and spearing fish. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. And
we wrote Dave the Diver, but that also sounds a lot like fishing in Animal Crossing to me.
It's really cool that they're adding stuff like this, but again, there's just so much content, and they're adding more. There is so much to do, and I'm gonna rant about this a little bit. Like, not it. I know it's like first world problems here, and I'm complaining about having player choice, and I'm really not, but it's like leveling. There was so much to do that I skipped doing side quests on live and just did the main quest on my main because there was so much to do at endgame that I didn't have time. And I'm going back and leveling my characters and just leveling each of them through a zone to do all of the quests. Like, I think my druid, I got to 88.5 just doing Herondar. Like,
oh my gosh.
And I have done nothing but the questing in that zone. So like adding more stuff to the game is not helping that problem at all. It's just, there's so much to do. I mean, again,
we're spoiled for choice at this point.
I'm not trying to complain, but man, it can be very overwhelming.
So I think I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I think one of the good things about having all of this content is that you have a big variety of content. Because, okay, raids came out this week. The Season 1 dungeon rotation came out this week. Not everyone cares. Not everyone's going to run into normal and heroic dungeons.
No.
Yeah, mythic dungeons. See, I'm mixing up in the other direction. And by having a wider range of content and a wider range of activities, you have different activities for different parts of the player base. One thing we don't talk about a lot is PvP. Of course, the new PvP season has also kicked off, but you also have delves, which are a more solo-friendly activity. You can obviously do them in groups, but you can also do them by yourself. They're a nice, kind of challenging solo activity. You also have Prey, which is new in the Midnight expansion, which is just an extra solo challenge. All of these different paths can give you really good gear, and you get to choose between them, or you can do all of them. So the thing is, I do worry that because there's so much to do, there are always going to be players that are like, I have to do everything because I need to get all the things. I need to get all the gear. So some players feel like that, and it's easy. I think it's really easy to feel like that. Oh, to stay on top of this, I have to do everything, and I got to do it right now. Ah! But
And if you don't, you're so far behind.
Because I am in that cycle right now. I do feel really behind. I almost have a second character to 90, but it's like raids are starting this week, and I need to gear up, and I'm like, I feel so far behind everyone, even though this is literally the fastest I have ever in my lifetime leveled a Warcraft character, have 2 characters at level 90 in 2 weeks. That is, I have never done this before. So
I will say in good news, and I'm sure Ado is going to yell at me when he hears this. Your gear for the normal raids, you can do it in questing greens. You don't have to worry about leveling your gear that much. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, there's going into a normal raid. You can really do that with World Quest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the pressure. Like, oh, I got to do all my delves this week. I got to do all of my praise this week. I got to do all of this stuff. But I think it's good to have different content for different kinds of players, because different players enjoy different things. And that is where things like decor duels and abyss anglers come in. Some people are going to think both of these things are really stupid. Some people are never going to want to engage fishing. Some people are never going to want to pretend to be a chair.
Yeah, I think the problem is when everything sounds fun, or like if you're the type of person like, this sounds neat, this is fun, this is great, that's when it becomes a problem. And I'm currently in that, like, I'm usually a person that's like, well, I'm just not going to engage with anything I don't want to engage in. I firmly believe that, but this is one of those rare instances that they've done where it's like, I want to engage with everything. Everything that they're doing right now is fun. And that's the problem, right? Like for me personally, and I understand not everybody's in that camp. I understand exactly what you're saying. And I advocate for do the things you only want to do. But man, again, first world problems, Blizzard, stop making fun things for me, I guess. I don't know what else to say. Like there's just too much at once. And I'm like, my brain is just like, this is all great and I want to do all of it.
I think even though I'm feeling like I'm behind, even though you're feeling like there's too much to do, we are 2 weeks into an expansion. I think you've got to tell yourself, okay, I've got lots of time. I have so much time to do this. You don't have to do all your side quests right now. You don't have to tear through all of these zones because we have plenty of time. But it's very easy to fall into that pressure to see your friends with like 3 level 90s all doing mythic dungeons. I got it right that time. I did it. And just feel like, man, I'm so behind. I need to do so much more. And I really feel like I've pushed myself and done a lot, but I still feel behind. So I'm aware that this is a trap and I'm still falling into it. But I think you gotta fight that, because you don't have to do everything at once. There's so much to do. You don't have to do it all at once. It's still going to be here tomorrow. It's still going to be here even after 1205 releases, which we aren't going to see for a couple months. They're talking about it. It's going on the PTR, but we don't have to worry about this today or even next month. So we're okay. I'm going to keep telling myself that we're okay. It's going to be fine.
It's okay.
I'm not that far behind. It will be okay.
It will absolutely be fine. And you're not behind. You will go to raid and have fun with your friends, because ultimately that is what it's all about. And that is why we do this, to have fun. Okay, arguably for some of us, this is also a job. But first and foremost, have fun with it. Before we move on, Cory, what have you been engaging with most in the new expansion? Tell me about your journeys.
I've been playing real slow because, there's Diablo, there's buying a new car, there's all sorts of stuff that takes your attention, and all these games keep releasing content all at the same time. It's really rude.
Yes, they have, which is where I've been spending my time. But on that, Cory and I have both been engaging with the new Diablo 4 Season 12, the Season of Slaughter.
And remember, kids, you can't spell slaughter without laughter.
I don't think that's what the butcher does when he chases you.
The butcher definitely laughs as he's murdering you.
As he's murdering you, yes.
This is a canonical event.
But we talk about the butcher because the butcher is the theme, basically. You're playing in season 12 in pursuit of the new seasonal currency of fresh meat
Of course.
because and butchery for the rep, because the big power or seasonal theme ability, MacGuffin, whatever you want to call it, is turning into the butcher. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, friends, especially as someone who I don't play the butcher that often at HOTS, but I have. Um, it's fun. It's
It's
fun.
very satisfying.
Ling waste, very satisfying. And you progress in your butcher adventures. What would you call butchering?
Yeah, butchering.
Yeah, you progress it. You're pretty much through to the end game content, which is a new form of keys, right? Have you gotten that far, Cory?
Yes, yeah. Thankfully, I got the last legendary rune that I needed to make my spec actually sing for my whirlwind barbarian in a way that just catapulted me forward. It was really annoying how much more I was doing after I got the correct stuff. But so you take a key and then you make it bloody, and what happens in that is the butcher is just always chasing you. There is a relentless butcher that you can kill, but he will come back in like a minute, if that. 10 seconds even. He's just ready and waiting to hop out and engage in butchery. And so the whole time you're in the key, the butcher is on your tail. Everything is stronger. Everything does more damage. And so you've got to do your regular dungeon or your layer boss with the added threat of the butchering.
So it's almost the equivalent of bringing a mythic to Nightmare Dungeon, not a mythic piece of equipment, mythic difficulty to Nightmare Dungeons, because
Yeah,
you've really just juiced up the difficulty there.
you sure it's very juicy. Lots of fresh meat. And it's a fun way of putting a little extra pressure on you. At the same time, the seasonal mechanic of the what are we calling it? The kill streaks is in full effect, and so you're trying to do all that while also maintaining your kill streak without letting it fall off, because all of the new bloodied gear that you're getting makes you stronger for having more kills active at once.
And I think that's been the biggest point of contention with this, other than the fact that everybody is mourning sanctification because for all its initial issues on the PTR and so forth, sanctification turned out to be very powerful. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's been a point of frustration with this gear that, like, instead of having a power up consistently, you have to reach kill streak thresholds or kill streak counts or kill streak timers to get these improvements. So you can't always rely on the kill streak gear to be the best thing for your build. And that makes it hard to really engage with the theme.
And
Yeah,
also think about doing lair bosses or even the end boss of a nightmare dungeon. That's when your kill streak is going to drop off, which is when you really
Absolutely.
need power.
well, as long as you can make it to them without in the next 5 seconds, you'll be okay. As
Yeah,
long as you're
but then if
attacking something, your kill streak is maintained. But yes,
so
it is tough sometimes.
so picture, like, just because this is the first thing that came to my mind, the Echo of Lilith fight where she's sending waves of spikes out at you. That's over 5 seconds. That will cause your kill streak to drop.
And there's nothing to kill in her fight anyways, so you have no
Exactly.
kill streak.
So it is, but we have to remember this is an abbreviated season for all that it does
Yeah.
have the full quote unquote seasonal journey, the reliquaries. And sorry, seasonal arc. I've completely forgotten what that system is called now. That's embarrassing.
Rank.
Season
rank.
rank. Thank you.
It's
They
like
have-
more than any other Blizzard game. Diablo 4 plays around with really baseline mechanics and with a tendency to rename them. And it can be a little crazy making.
And we've got even more of that coming down the pike, because we found out last week, I don't know the exact date of the interview, but before March 17th and after March 10th, we found out that they are adding 8 more torment levels to Diablo 4 with Lord of Hatred taking us all the way up to Torment 12. And as I put in our notes, proving that time is a flat circle because we've been here before.
So
I mean,
interesting, because the people who are playing this at the highest level are already basically playing Torment 12.
Effectively, yeah.
They're doing the pit level 100 or the pit level 200, which has got to be somewhere around Torment 12. If it's not, I don't know what
Yes.
is.
Yeah, they're going to
And
be aligning these new torments with the additional pit tiers. So it's not like they're adding pit tiers to make this happen. They're folding them into the pit tiers or equivalency to pit tiers.
yeah, which just means that you can play the rest of the game other than the pit at a high level, and maybe you get a better shot at getting those purple mythics that you need for your build to go truly high, which would be nice. But it is silly that it's taken them this long to do it.
It's silly, and it's
so
also go ahead, Liz. I want to hear you because we've already talked about this twice now.
And so one of my complaints about Diablo 4 since the game launched, since day one, is that it felt like difficulty was not sufficiently granular. Like there was a big difficulty jump between levels, and you would get up to a difficulty level and it'd be really hard, and then you'd get over that sort of hump, and then it would be super easy. And then you'd go up to the next difficulty level and it would be super, super hard. And then you'd get over that hump and it was super easy and no challenges at all, completely boring. But the next level was still a huge hump. So it felt like you needed more granular levels of difficulty to fill that gap so you could progress at an even pace. And also when the game first released, there was not a ton of end game content. So you might get up to, max difficulty level, and there are no more difficulty levels, so you're just running nightmare dungeons, and it's like that's all you can do. You can just keep running, and now in current Diablo, you would be running the pit at higher and higher and higher and higher difficulties. But open world content, why are you going to do that?
You're still blasting through it and melting faces. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no like rewards for doing open world content at that point. Nothing that's going to be valuable to you at all. So you're really funneled into very specific types of gameplay, and the game can feel less fun if you don't just want to spend all of your game time running pits over and over again. Maybe you want to do something different. That's just not an option if you want to keep progressing and keep improving. So a lot of the old school Diablo players seem to hate this. I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting online, is there's a lot of people who don't like this because they didn't like it in Diablo 3. I kind of felt like this is always needed better difficulty scaling. But there are some good points, because in Diablo 3, you kind of had breakpoints. Like, no one played you didn't go from one torment to the next torment to the next torment. It's like,
No,
you would kind of you would kind of hit a breakpoint in gear. You kind of you'd get the right piece of your gear and you'd just go up 4 torment levels, because who cares about the ones in between? And so that's a complaint. And also, this is another example of Diablo kind of piling on more systems, piling on more difficulty levels. So I think there are some good things about this, having more granular difficulty, so you can play at the level you want and you can do any kind of content you want. Lord of Hatred is really pushing the idea of doing whatever content you want with the adventure guide. Is that what it's called?
I think it's like adventure track or adventure. Yeah. Because they had adventure mode in Diablo 3.
Right. So you can kind of pick the sort of gameplay you want to get your end game reward. So you don't just have to run the pit endlessly. You don't just have to run nightmare dungeons endlessly. You can say, this is the kind of gameplay, and sort of the reward structure will follow the sorts of things you like to do. So you don't have to just grind one thing you don't like forever. And I think that's great. So it's possible that having these additional difficulty levels will help sort of unlock more gameplay options, like doing really challenging content in the open world, if that is the thing you like. But it's a level of complication, and it could end up having the same problem Diablo 3 did, which is it's too granular and you just never play all of these torment difficulties. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to see.
And I think that's where we're going to end up, honestly. We've talked about how the pit is very similar to the rifting system in Diablo
Mm-hmm.
3. It was war plans. We couldn't remember the term of for the end game
Ah,
progression. But also, conversely, and this is not an argument for or against, this is an observation. We started the game at launch with the statement that it will take 120 hours for you
mm,
to get your character to full power. And then, we've tuned, we've reworked difficulties. Now we have, 8 difficulties where we go from normal all the way up to Torment 4. And then, when Torment 4 was announced and came out, it was also, meant to be aspirational, where only 10% of all players would
yeah,
get to Torment 4. And now, we're adding 8 more Torment levels. To your point, Liz, where we might just end up jumping torments.
yeah.
But we're constantly moving the target. And
Mm-hmm.
and for what? Why? Like, it doesn't always feel good to be stuck in the intermediate or liminal space of I'm powerful but not quite powerful enough. And also, you're then designing to effectively your seasonal mechanic, which I get
Oh,
is
well,
how they maintain their player base, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to be facing down, potentially going all the way up to Torment 12. Torment 16 isn't that far off, guys. And if you're adding more expansions, that's where I see it going. And, we're basically going to be effectively difficulty-wise back in Diablo 3 land.
They're just going to keep
see,
turning the knob for a number of torment levels until it feels right, and then
Torment
but they're going
100.
see, I do not see a problem with being back in Diablo 3 land. Diablo 3 was really fun. It
It
had its
was.
problems, but it was really fun. And it's also a game that's, man, Diablo 4 has spent a lot of time ignoring the lessons that were hard won by Diablo 3. Diablo 3 spent a lot of time to get to the place it was when Diablo 4 launched. It was a lot of time, it was a lot of hard work, it was a lot of player feedback, it was a lot of, Diablo 3 and the Diablo 3 devs went through a lot to get that game to where it was. And Diablo 4 came in and said, "We're going to do something different." And just
I think they were so focused on recreating the magic in everybody's memories of Diablo 2,
yeah.
because Diablo 2 only has 3 difficulties.
Mm,
Um they were so focused on kind of recreating that experience that they didn't, realize in my head, people are older now. Obviously, you're adding new
mhm.
gamers as they hit the age of applicable playing. And your time, you can't just, unless you're doing it professionally, grind all night. You've got to get up for work in the morning, which is
and just
sometimes
pop an
also
energy
playing
drink and
video
power
games.
through. Obviously,
I'm old. I don't want to end up in the cardiac unit. But
it's such
just
a moving
really,
target for them too, right? Because
yeah,
yeah, you're right. They said 100 hours to get to level 100, and then they changed leveling, so there isn't a level 100 anymore. But there's 300 Paragon levels now,
yep.
and
And
you'll never
to
get to Paragon 300 because that takes.
that takes forever and so much experience. Um to our love note to Diablo 3. Luckily, we're not the only ones that remember that Diablo 3 still exists. We finally got our season 38 announcement. The hamsters are getting ready to run on the wheel. Season 38 will bring back ethereal memories, aka the ethereal weapons that they first put in as a seasonal theme in honor of Diablo 2 and the Diablo 2 Resurrected release. Season 38 will start March 27th. So if you haven't wrapped up in season 37 yet, first off, what are you doing? Aside from playing every other Blizzard game like the rest of us. But
So many.
also it's time to wrap it up. So sorry, friends, your Kanai's Cube Arama will be going away and ethereal
Yeah.
weapons will return.
I love Kanai's Cuberama. It's one of my favorite
Oh my god, it's
themes.
so
But
great.
I just love the way it mixes up gear. And if no one out there is familiar with Diablo 3's Kanai's Cuberama, as we like to call it, I do not remember what its actual name is. It lets you, usually you can only equip legendary abilities in specific armor slots, which kind of limits how many abilities you can equip. So, but in this, it lets you equip as many legendary, as many like jewelry abilities as you want, or as many weapon abilities as you want in your Kanai's Cube. So, and these are all kind of bonus abilities on top of whatever legendary gear, whatever you're already wearing. So you could just make weird combos that are not possible otherwise in the game. And it could be a lot of fun because it really changed up your builds. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about Diablo 3 seasons is it felt like, I mean, not every season was a huge hit, but they were all different and they could be really impactful on gameplay. And I don't know that Diablo 4 always hits its mark. With Diablo 4, the latest season, I do feel like I don't know if it's an amazing season, but I like that they're doing something different instead of another season that's a different
Yet
set
another
of
power
borrowed
system.
powers that's just a fresh coat of paint on the last season. And I think it's gotten a little stale, but I also bet it's a lot of work for the developers to come up with a new set of powers every season that's engaging for all classes, that works with all classes, and that's reasonably balanced. I bet that sounds like a massive job to me.
Yeah.
And it just keep going back and reinventing the wheel every season. It sounds like a grind, and it's also a grind to play. So I'm glad they're doing something different. But I wish they'd have as much variety as Diablo 3 had.
I'm still so surprised that we haven't seen any angelic enemies because it seemed like they were prepping that as back at the beginning of Hatred.
Yeah, with the with how it shook out with Lilith kind of her spearing her ex.
Yeah.
I mean, have you met her ex? It was super understandable.
Yeah, and Arius is a little exhausting. So we will wave goodbye to Forbidden Archives in Diablo 3 and say hello to ethereal weapons, just like we're saying hello to the Cataclysm expansion in Hearthstone, which released March 17th. Liz, I know you usually get the burden of Hearthstone talk, and I'm gonna pass the ball to you yet again.
So yes, the expansion is now live. It is Year of the Scarab in Hearthstone, which Hearthstone, more than I think any other Blizzard game, Hearthstone really follows a schedule very strictly. So it's not super unpredictable when you get a new season. It's maybe not as exciting as other games, just because you know it's coming. You always know it's coming about on a schedule. So Cataclysm, now live, it has a couple of cool new mechanics and some old mechanics. We've got a new version of the colossal keyword, so you have these great big colossal minions you can put on the board. It has a herald keyword, which is new and old because it's kind of like if you remember the old Cthulhu decks, you'd play all of these cards that would buff Cthulhu no matter where he was in your deck. And wow, that could be rough to play because someone would pull their Cthulhu and it would be like an impossible to kill card at that point because it had been buffed so much. Herald cards are like that. They're going to buff things in your deck and maybe just murder the heck out of your opponent. But it was a fun mechanic to engage with, and it's going to be like with more than just that one thing. And there is the shatter keyword where you draw a card and the card splits into two in your hand. One goes on the left side of your hand, one goes on the right side of your hand. And if you play all the cards, and you can play them individually, or if you play all the cards between those two cards, then you can play one card for both mechanics. So I think it has cool features. It has a really strong theme because you got Cataclysm. That's your biggest event in Warcraft. You've got your Deathwing coming in, and I think this is looking like a really fun one. So season just getting started. It's a good time to jump in and check it out. And yeah, I'm excited about this one, but also it's Hearthstone. It's I don't want to say it's on rails, but it's kind of on rails with what you can expect.
I really like seeing Deathwing back, and they gave us nice shiny cinematics with Deathwing, with Cho'Gall, Ragnaros. We've got a lot of great high res images of already, but he's fun too. Not going to poo poo Ragnaros too much, but
I don't think anybody would.
He's no Deathwing, that's for sure.
I mean, Deathwing has legs.
Fair.
4 of them. Even Ragnaros only ever gets 1, 2.
Fair enough. Well, in the world of other gaming news, we have a good and a bad. Well, no, really, it's a good and a good. It just the
Kinda.
first one started bad. So, Joe, I'm going to let you talk about Subnautica 2.
Sure. So, Subnautica 2 is probably one of the most anticipated sequels to a game since Subnautica released in January of 2018. So it's been in development for a while, and the developer of an Unknown Worlds was acquired by Crafton Inc. In that acquisition, there were a few provisions, such as bonuses for hitting sales goals by a certain date in early access. This was spawned by the early access success of Subnautica, and obviously it's something that Unknown Worlds felt that they would be very easily able to do. Crafton realized that they would probably have to pay these now multi-million-dollar bonuses, and therefore literally asked ChatGPT how to get out of paying. They were advised to fire a whole lot of people, including the Unknown World CEO, and then not actually begin sales until after the bonus date had passed. As you can understand, this made a lot of people very upset, and thus it was brought to court. In which this week a judge just reinstated the fired CEO of Unknown Worlds, or at least ordered that they be reinstated, as well as 2 other lead devs, and ordered that the bonuses have to be paid. So the good is and bad is pretty obvious there. The unknown is if this is going to happen. If nothing else, corporations are really good at continuing to mess with numbers and their employees to best benefit their own needs. Will Crafton find another way to essentially try to get out of this? They're going to try. But it is a $250 million payout that the leads would have gotten from Unknown Worlds, and that's what they're due right now. So yeah, it's really interesting to see actual clapback to horribleness. It's just a matter of whether or not it sticks. So go ahead.
The other thing about this is, there's a tiny bit of bad blood between these two parties.
A tiny bit. Woo!
Obviously.
And like a little bit.
There's a George A. Romero movie's worth of bad blood between these folks at this point.
Oh no.
But now you have them back together. They have to work together to get this game out. And another thing is after the CEO was fired, after the co-founders were fired, some other talent left the dev team. Because do I want to work in this company without kind of the founders who know what they're doing, because they'd brought in someone else to run the company who was not familiar with the game or the genre. So they've lost some talent. So now the question is, what happens to Subnautica 2 from here? Are these people going to be able to work together? Are they going to be able to get the talent they need to finish the game the way it should be finished? Because Subnautica was great. That's how Subnautica 2 has had this much hype behind it. And it's like they were getting close to the finish line, and this whole thing is kind of, forced them to drop the ball. So my big question is, can they come together and finish this game and bring the talent they need to finish this game? How does this impact what we get?
Yeah, so I'm very curious about that as well, because I know what I would do at this point if I was Unknown World CEO and their leads. I would start looking at reforming another company because it's very clearly they were able to do it before. And I'm pretty sure that any NDAs or non-competes that they signed are not enforceable in any meaningful capacity. So but I don't know. Like you're right. There's a lot of friction there. Will this game get done? Will it be done now in a proper time frame? How are the sales numbers going to look? What about the player confidence, which is another huge part of that, right? As a consumer of these games, do you now justify, like, you want to support the devs because and maybe the game because you really enjoy it, but you also don't want Crafton to win. So like, what do you do there? So it's interesting, and it because early access isn't up for it yet. I believe, and Anna has posted this in chat, and I believe this is accurate to what I read as well. Rumors are speculating that it should become available in early access in May. So a couple months from the time of this recording, so we'll see. But we also don't know how far along they were before everything went sideways and before all this went down. They
were close, I think.
I think they were close too, which is why they felt comfortable. Why Crofton felt comfortable firing them, because they thought that they would be able to, do the thing and still have enough left over to get it out. Because again, corporations, man, whew, truly the worst timeline.
And here's your periodic reminder to never ask ChatGPT anything that could be considered illegal or life changing. Like, don't base major life decisions on what ChatGPT says in situations like this,
or just in general. Maybe.
Listen.
Think a little more.
The story of Don't Make the Torment Machine was literally about don't make the torment machine. It wasn't something encouraging you to make the torment machine. Don't trust AI with anything other than crunching numbers. That's it. That's what it's good at. It's good at parsing data. That should be the only thing you use it for. Like, and Monsoon Mike says this in chat, and I agree. I would not even ask any AI what the weather was, let alone
look out the window.
Let alone literally anything else. Yeah, I'd look out the window at the yardstick that I have planted in the ground to see how much snow fell. Like, I'll trust that over AI any day of the week.
Absolutely.
100%.
But on to just some good, delightful, heartwarming news. There's a new game that has dropped from a new game announcement that dropped from an old familiar face.
Papa's back!
Papa's back. Cory, you've been really quiet tonight. So would you be so kind as to run with this one?
Well, okay. Papa Jeff is back. The former head of Overwatch has resurfaced for the first time since leaving the company, really. It's been a few years since we saw him, and he looks great. He looks rested and like he's been having a good time. There was a big article that came out in his first interview since leaving the company where he referenced the long hours and how the Overwatch League demands forced development changes on Overwatch and all the stuff that we kind of assumed had happened behind the scenes because we had eyes and we could see the development trajectory. But we also got other fun tidbits like being invited into the CFO's office and told that if he doesn't produce X money, then they have to fire 1,000 people. And X money is a lot of money. Whatever the number wound up being, it was just too much. And
if you have to say X amount of money, it's an impossibly large number. You can't even express it in numbers. You have to say X.
Yeah, it was an impossible task probably presented in order to make them fail so that they could fire 1,000 people, really, is what it boils down to.
Which is so many people, and it's such a ghoulish thing to threaten at any time, to be able to have that much power over someone. But that's in the past. It doesn't sound like the CFO who was in at the time is currently still in the company. And Papa Jeff Kaplan has moved on. He has started a new game that looks like a fun Wild West survival sim with a lot of care and attention and development time put into just these cool little facets of like a survival crafting sim that make it. I don't know if it stands out in the field, but it does have a lot of fun little fiddly bits that will probably keep you entertained for a long time. So much so that to announce this, they spent 10 hours playing it. So Jeff spent 10 hours talking about his new Wild West game, Legend of California, is what it's called. And we got to find out fun tidbits like stone is tougher to dig through than dirt. And you can specialize in types of cooking, which just makes me want to see like people advertising for groups of like, I really want a chili cowboy and not It has to be non-beans chili.
We can have a chili cook-off in this game, and that immediately sold me on this project.
So it seems fun. And I think the thing Anna pointed out that this is a crafting stuff that we've seen before in this kind of game. But I think what sets it apart and what has gotten us excited is just you can see the care and attention and love coming through on
Absolutely, yeah.
what Jeff is talking about and how he's marketing it and how he's talking about it. Is that this is a game that he's wanted to make, and it's not something that he's being forced to, and the decisions that are being made because they're fun decisions.
Yeah, and like you definitely get that palpable like adoration for what they're working on, and I think that's really cool. I'm also just sold on the premise of this because it essentially is reading to me almost like Fallout 76, but in the Gold Rush era, which is like
yeah, I can see it.
It's super because it's a multiplayer open world survival action shooter in that time frame, and I think that not enough games have really taken place in that time frame outside of like recent ones like Red Dead Redemption, because it's often just kind of overlooked for whatever reason. And I love Westerns. It's just a thing that I really dig. So seeing something that is an open world action survival shooter based in this era is really cool, at least to me. Like, this ticks a lot of my boxes. And the fact that I can potentially play this with multiple of my friends and go around being idiots, kind of like in Sea of Thieves and other games where I can just be idiots with my friends in an environment that I really like, really speaks to me. Like, it's already up there. There's already a page on Steam for it. So, like, you can wish list it, and there's a playtest that you can request access to right now. If in case that's something of your jam. I mean, guess what button I pushed? And it has everything from like that online co-op. You can also do online PvP. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops, and it's going to sound really goofy, but I just like, maybe it won't sound that goofy. I like the visual noise of it, because there is a very distinct aesthetic for like Western movies and Wild West games and stuff like that, that I think is very charming and feels very alive in the world in a way that a lot of other games don't. And another thing that sold me specifically, again, this is going to sound weird, was the trees, because it's such a small thing. But because I'm a nerd and I read and go down random rabbit holes about like random topics, they're period accurate trees. And you're talking to a guy who looked at Red Dead Redemption 1 and was screaming at the TV when things were just wildly inaccurate. Like, I'm that type of person. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm in. I'm in.
That's incredible. I didn't know about the trees.
Like, and again, most people wouldn't, but hyper focus engaged. So, like, here I am.
Yeah. Also, just not for nothing. It feels meaningful because in a lot of ways, like even the new studio name is it's Kintsugi-yama, which refers to the Japanese method of repairing porcelain and pottery with gold.
Yep.
And Yama is I believe the proper suffix for mountain. So it's also just beautiful. Yeah, Papa Jeff, we're so happy to see you back and healthy.
I mean,
it's nice to see light in his eyes again.
Yes.
One thing that I really took away from this is I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, okay. You see a lot of game trailers, so many game trailers, and they start to blend together. But then I'm like, really? Jeff Kaplan did a 10-hour stream of his game? But watching him, it's 10 hours. He took a couple of breaks, but the stream was going with other people talking. 10 hours. I haven't watched the whole 10 hours, but I watched a lot of it. And he's just there. You can tell there is a genuine enthusiasm by Jeff and all the other developers about not just the shootery stuff. You know, obviously there's going to be crafting. You can craft your gun. You can craft different kinds of guns. You can customize them in all of these ways. You can pick kind of the combat style you want to do. But one of the things he said is like, I want mining to be as fun as shooting, you know?
Yeah.
And also, like,
I just want a pan for gold.
But he wants this game to be not, you know, okay, so for people who want to PvP, okay, they can go out there and PvP. But for people who just want to ride around California on their horse, they can do that. And just in every word, you could feel enthusiasm and affection for what the game is and what they're working on. So I'll say it is not like the most original survival game we've ever seen. You know, a lot of these mechanics are mechanics we've seen in plenty of other games out there. So, but you know, one of the things Blizzard in particular always did and always loved to do was take a game genre and give it that extra layer of polish, you know, to bring everything together and add its improvements and make it something that's kind of stands above other games there. So is this going to be like that? Is this going to be just like a great sort of survival action game? We don't know. I mean, we haven't gotten our hands on it, but I've got to say it looks beautiful. All of the environments are handcrafted versions of California. So you've got like Yosemite. You can just go ride your horse through Yosemite. You can do that. It's a massive open world, and it's kind of an alternate universe California, where California is this great unexplored island, which is really neat. But what really sold me on it was the enthusiasm, the genuine excitement that everyone had for the project they were working on, because that is something you see not that often from developers. Not to say that developers aren't excited about what they're working on, but you know, if you're watching like the Game Awards, it's just this barrage of trailers and very little genuine human emotion. That's one of the things I really like about Day of the Devs, which usually happens around the same time as the Game Awards, which is that it focuses on indie developers, and it always has them talking about their games for a few minutes, and as well as showing a trailer. But there's a lot of talk about games and development and what's going on, and that always comes across in the same way, with this real affection for what they're developing, as opposed to just here's a big shiny trailer with a features list. So I mean, that more than anything really made me interested in this game. And this isn't a genre I usually play, because it usually drives me insane trying to do all the survival and the crafting and finding the things I need. But I mean, I gotta
that's why you
the
play with
world
friends.
looks well, yeah, hopefully I can play with friends who know where we are and what we need to go get, and we can build our own town. It looks really interesting to me, even though it's not, you know, these are not the first people who had this idea, but I'm interested and I'm curious, and I do kind of want to explore alternate universe California.
That's totally fair. I think this has sold a lot of us on a game that we may not necessarily be interested in, just because of the sheer passion behind it. And I think we could talk ourselves for at least a couple more hours about it.
I do have one more really important thing about this game.
Go for it.
They posted some videos about it, and one of the comments was from Dino Flask. If you do not know who Dino Flask is, they are a YouTube creator who used to do crazy videos of Jeff Kaplan, Jeff from the Overwatch team, edited together to say all sorts of crazy things. Sometimes there were songs, you know.
Sigma barrier meta, among other things.
It was so much fun. So Dino Flask left a comment on one of these videos that said, "Target acquired."
Oh no.
And I'm like, more than anything else, I am excited to see the next Dino Flask video, because like Jeff himself, Dino Flask has been slumbering. So I am genuinely excited about that.
I'm going to ask you to use that excitement to talk about our site news.
Oh gosh. Do I have to bring the same level of excitement to our website?
You do.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
it is required.
That is our bread and
how
butter.
exhausting. How exhausting. Well, I do want to remind all of you listening that Blizzard Watch is made possible by listeners like you, readers like you, however you prefer to consume the site. I mean, I assume you like podcasts because you're here listening to us right now. But it is indeed the your support by listening or particularly supporting us on Patreon that keeps the site and all of the podcasts going. And if you are able to support us on Patreon, that super helps us out. You can go to patreon.com/BlizzardWatch and pledge at whatever you can. Any amount helps, keeps the site going. We are running, I will say, lower than I would like right now. So if you are able to support us, really, that's going to help us keep the lights on, keep paying the hosting bills, and just keep things going. If you subscribe at $3 a month, you get early access to all of our podcasts, Blizzard Watch, Tavern Watch, and Lore Watch. I suspect Lore Watch is everyone's favorite because I see the traffic numbers on the podcast. I know Lore Watch is your favorite podcast, but we're still here doing this podcast anyway. And early access to all of them, ads free. And if you also subscribe at $5 a month, you get that, but you also get ads-free access to the site at blizzardwatch.com. Yeah, we like to talk at you, but we are also a website. So if you can support us, that really helps us out. If you aren't able to financially support us, you support us just by listening and reading. That also really helps. But you can support us without spending a dime by following us on social media and liking, sharing, commenting, leaving a review on the podcast on whatever platform you consume it. We are BlizzardWatch.com on Blue Sky. We are Blizzard Watch on Instagram, Facebook, and Mastodon at Gamepad.club. We are Blizzard Watch Podcasts on YouTube, Blizzard.watch on TikTok. You can follow us on any of those channels for the latest news, as well as clips of our podcast in which Joe has noticed that I look for the most unhinged things I can find. And
I try to oblige.
Well, Eric gave me a good one from Lore Watch the other day. Eric gives me a lot of good clips so far. But if you want to consume the podcast in extremely short form clips, yeah, that's where I post them on Instagram and YouTube and Blue Sky. Another way you could support us is by, if you're interested in Warcraft lore, you're interested in any of the books, you can go to blizzardwatch.com/Warcraft-books. If you buy any books through those links, we get a little bit of affiliate revenue. So if you're interested in any of the books that are coming out, if you go to our link and buy them, that's great and really helps us out. So again, I want to thank you all for listening, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. Now, if you have any questions for this or any of our other podcasts, please send them in to us at podcast@blizzardwatch.com. That is podcast singular, even though we have several podcasts. Just roll with it. Specify the show in the subject line and any special pronunciation of your name. You can also contact us on Discord, and if you're a patron subscriber, you can do so through the Patreon Q and Podcast Questions channel as our way of saying thank you for supporting us. So thank you all so much for being here, and thank you for your support.
And thank you, Liz, for doing our wrap-up and just being our wonderful editor-in-chief. Thank you, Joe, for keeping the podcast, steered and moving forward and rolling. And thank you, Cory, for just being Cory, even though we didn't get to huff any copium about HOTS tonight.
This
any day
time.
now. Big announcements, I'm sure.
Maybe there'll be a HOTS board game.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. But that has been the Blizzard Watch podcast. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Good night.
Night.
Bye.